Okay, let's do it again. It's taking some time.
Okay, just
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Wajid Ali. Today we are going to talk about some exciting topics, as we do all the time on our sales and leadership podcast episodes. So today we have something special for you, and we'll keep exploring this about discovering proven sales methodologies. This is one of our first sessions. As we go along, we will further drill into it. We'll further go deep into different methodologies that they're proven, they're being tested and applied in various situations and sales functions and applications. Again, I'm based out of Toronto, and with me is my friend, my co-host, and my partner, Simon. So I'll bring Simon up to the stage to give us his introduction, and then we will dive deep into this conversation. So, Simon, you're up.
thank you, Wajid, and good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Rodriguez, and as Wajid mentioned, we're part of the Sales Leadership Podcast, and with the session, we aim to share insights, share best practices, experiences about our journey into sales, our professional journey into sales, and expecting to share part of those valuable lessons and experiences with you as you go through your journey. As we did mention, we really want to dive today into this particular topic, which is sales methodology. Why are having a sales methodology, why it is important, and why do we need to structure our approach when it comes to having a sales methodology, and what are all the different options out there, and how we can choose what type of methodology you use, and the pros and cons of all those different options. But with that, I think we can get started with the initial question. Would you like, from your perspective, why do we need a sales methodology to start with? We know about sales having some common principles in terms of prospecting, building connections with your potential customers. But why is it that we really need a sales methodology to potentially become a more effective organization?
Yeah, Simon, can you hear me well? Just wanted to test.
Yes, I can hear you well. Yes.
Okay. So I think it's a fair and valid question to start with. Why is it important for us to have to talk about it at first place, right? And as we both have seen in our career, in our journey, if there's no process in place, if there's no methodology in place, then you may be successful maybe once every while, but you cannot have repeated success. You cannot have repeated wins, if you will. And that's why I think it's very important and essential while we talk to our salespeople that we define different sales methodologies for them and how they can apply them to become effective salespeople, to become effective sales leaders. And one of the things that comes to my mind is that, if we do not have any process or methodology in place, what happens is that when you are in front of your customers, your clients, your prospects, it could be in person, virtual, maybe in conferences or anywhere you are in. What happens is that if you don't have practice, if you do not know how to handle different situations, if you do not know what questions to ask, how to approach them, and potentially how to identify any underlying problems that your clients might have, your customers might have, and you potentially can help them solve. So all these things actually boils down to today's discussion is having a process, a methodology in place. And that's why I thought, and we both, in fact, when we were preparing for this session, we thought we came up with this idea of let's take a step back since we have had discussed about various topics through our podcast journey. We thought let's take a step back, let's go back to basics and bring all these different methodologies to the audience and let them decide for themselves what is it that they can best use for them in different sales situations.
Yeah, that's good perspective with you. And one thing that I like in particular, to your point, is describing that set of framework. And I think that's what the methodology provides, is a framework to guide the sales team to get alignment as well between the sales methodology and the organization's sales objective. And as we discussed in the previous sessions, there is an evolving, obviously, the landscape for business sales technology is always changing, is rapidly evolving, right? So organizations will need to adapt to those changes in the landscape. And one way is to always revisit, evaluate your sales methodology, understand if the sales methodology is working for your organization, because as you said, there are many different organizations, and the one methodology might not be the right fit depending on the type of solutions, the type of market, the type of customers. So it's important to not only select a methodology as an organization to get alignment, to provide a framework to your sales force, but also it's important to revisit that methodology frequently to ensure that is it actually making the organization more effective, more efficient. And based on those two things, you decide if you keep your current methodology or if you pivot into a different one. So I think that's one key element on understanding, right? Why do we need a sales methodology? And the other thing that I think is important to highlight is, one thing will be the sales methodology as a framework, and the other thing will be the sales process within the business. And it's important to get alignment between those two elements, because when we talk about the sales methodology, there are many different options out there, and we're going to go into describing some of those solutions and methodologies, one of them being value selling, medpic, sandler. There are many options. So that's one
Mhm.
thing that it provides a framework, right? And then the other one is we need to get alignment between the methodology and our internal sales process. But I think with that, in general, curious about your experience with it. How have you seen, and we have been part of different global organizations, different type of organizations, but let's say, in your view, what's the main success factor? What's the critical component when you evaluate a new sales methodology? What do you need to look for, and how you can decide which one is probably the ideal one for your organization?
Yeah, I think it's critical. That's really good question, Simon, because what happens is, and the way I look at it all the time is, we need to focus on quality over quantity, meaning that when it comes to finding what is the right methodology, what is it that we could choose, we need to identify which methodology is actually helping us solve the problem for our customers, right? Because as you said, there are many methodologies and approaches that we could use, but the best one is the one that in a given time could help you solve the problems you're trying to solve for your customers. And if any in any given situation, if you identify a process that is not actually helping you solve the problem that you're trying to solve for a customer, I think in that given time, that might not be the right approach. It might be a good approach in some other situations. So again, coming back to the basics, it's not just one size fit all approach. There are different situations that you could use, different approaches that you can take, and that's what we're gonna do as we go forward into this series of podcasts that we just started today. I think one thing which I would call it as a tip for whoever is listening today is make sure that the list of prospects that is assigned to you, or the list of customers or key customers or accounts that you're working on, the first thing to start is, again, as we discussed previously, is to do some basic research about who they are, what they do, what they're trying to solve, how your service, your product, or your solution is relevant to them, is aligning with their vision, their mission, um, their pain points they're trying to solve. So I think that's the basic. That's where we all need to start from. Again, I will just summarize it one line: understand your customer, understand where they are today, where they want to be in next 3, 5, or 10 years, and how your product, services, solution is aligned to them. That's the basic foundation where you start for any sales methodology. But what are your thoughts, Simon? I think it's a good question, and if you could if you reflect your thoughts for the audience, so that they can get some, I guess, a better understanding of why we're doing it today.
Sure, Wajid. And the one thing I will add to what you described, which I share your view in most of the things you have shared, is the importance as well of combining. We can see as well, like there are different methodologies out there. That doesn't mean that you need to have a particular methodology and use it throughout the whole sales process, from identifying, developing, and then closing the opportunity. You can also use methodologies on specific stages of your sales process. So that's another thing that I believe is important, and we can go into more details. And I'll give you an example. You can use potentially value selling when you are prospecting. Then perhaps you use metric when you are developing the opportunity, and then you use Sandler when you're in the closing stage. So again, aligning the methodology with your sales process, internal sales process, is important, but that doesn't mean that you need to stick to one particular methodology. Ultimately, as you said, not one solution will fit every single organization and situation. So you can use, let's say, kind of the best from, or get from different methodologies, and use them as you need them. And something I think, once we go into the different methodologies, we can explore when to use perhaps this one, depending on the organization, the challenges, the situation. And I think that's having options is I think the valuable point as well.
Yeah, right. Rightly said, Simon. When we, you know, as we all know, when you're in a situation, you're trying to sell a solution, product, service, anything. I mean, the bottom line is, how are you adding value to your buyers, right? What is it? Again, going back to that basic thing, what is it that you're trying to solve? That's where the basic understanding should be for any salesperson. And your aim is not, I guess, it's counterintuitive, but your aim is not to sell. Of course, our aim is to sell, don't take me wrong, but your aim is to sell in a way that is actually adding value to your customer in solving a problem. And if you have that approach, I guess you'll come across much more authentic, much more confident, and the customers that you're trying to sell to, you don't need to convince them. They will automatically feel like you're on their side, and they would consider you as a trusted advisor. So all this exercise that we're doing here today is to empower you, all the audience that are listening to us, to empower them with the tools essential for them to be successful in any given situation. And again, it's all for organizations as well, because if you look back, take a step back, in some organizations you would see they want their sales force to sell, but they don't have any tools or any set of methodologies in place. They just want you to go out, do it by yourself. And essentially, it's very important for those people who don't have any processes or system in place through their organizations. If they want to learn by themselves, I guess the things that we're discussing here today is critically important for them in their growth, in their success, and in their sales journey. I will give you the last 30 seconds, Simon, to wrap it up. And then I guess in next episode, we will start jumping into these different methodologies.
Certainly, we did. I think you cover most of the, say, summary of the session. I'll close by saying that by understanding and applying these frameworks, these different methodologies, your sales team can actually enhance their strategies and the strategic approach. Let's say when it comes to sales, they'll get more alignment when it comes to being closer to the customers and ultimately drive significant business growth. We talked about sustainable growth, and I think by using these frameworks, aligning and getting closer to your customers, you ensure that sustainable business growth. So yeah, we look forward to going into the details in the next session and start exploring these different options.
Sounds good. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, please make sure that you leave your comments in the comment section below. What is it that resonates with you? And as we go along in this journey of describing different sales methodologies, which one out of them as we go along is that you're currently using? And if there's anything that we are not covering here, if there is any other methodologies that you're using and it's not covered in this series of episodes, please put that in the comment section below so that we can also bring that into this conversation and make sure that that is also covered. Again, if you have any questions for me or for Simon, you can reach out to us directly, or you can leave in the feedback as a comment under the comment section below. I wish you a very nice weekend, and we will see you again in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.